Hey guys, it is December the 21st again, and it's Thursday. I just posted up a short video telling a little funny restaurant story, and now it's time to get back to business and talk about some serious matters. Like I said in the previous video, that I was gonna have another video today talking about ascites, and this is probably one of the worst parts of dealing with the liver disease, as far in my opinion. There's a lot of other things that come along with it, but the ascites is definitely one of those things that it can just be it can be very uncomfortable. It can just be embarrassing. There's just a lot that goes along with it. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. So the first time that I got ascites, let me just start here. I always had a rather big beer belly, and I'm guessing probably part of my beer belly was ascites, and I just wasn't aware. I thought it was all just fat. I felt rather bloated all the time in my stomach area. Sometimes I would get so bloated that would actually make it hard to breathe. And like I said, I thought at the beginning that it was just because I was fat. Later on, with the things I've been through at this point, I have a pretty good feeling that I did have ascites at that time. I guess just to start off, what causes ascites? It's due to the scarring in the liver, and your liver's not really able to process the blood correctly. And I probably should have looked this up and had a little bit more knowledge on it, but I know that something happens in the liver where the water separates out of the blood and ends up getting encapsulated in your abdomen. Like I said, I wish I had done a little bit more research into this. So just from speaking with doctors and whatnot, the knowledge that I have right now. When I really knew that I had ascites was when I first ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis. The first time I've been hospitalized, with an illness directly associated with my alcoholism was back in May of 2022. Like I said in previous videos, I ended up in the hospital very, very sick. Spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and I'll never forget, I was in the ICU, and one of the night nurses had come in and was talking to me, and she had noticed the fluid in my stomach. I was so drugged up at the time, I really didn't even know what was really going on during that period of time. I don't even remember the first week of being in the hospital. It's not until the second week I was in that I really started to be aware of my surroundings. But like I said, one of the night nurses, right before I went home, one of the night nurses started talking to me about the fluid that was in my stomach, and she started telling me that, that's usually associated with cirrhosis. And no one had talked to me at that point about having cirrhosis. It wasn't until later on down the road that I actually found out that I had it. So I didn't listen to anything she said, and I was pretty upset because I didn't like the fact that she was trying to diagnose me and she wasn't a doctor, so I didn't really take what she said to heart, and I kind of just blew it off. It wasn't until the second time that I was hospitalized that I realized I really did have ascites, and then when they told me that that I did have liver disease, that I knew that really was what was going on. So, like I said, I got out of the hospital in May, and I wasn't drinking any longer. I had continued to work, doing my business, and then, like I've said before, I got sick again, ended back up in the hospital. And the time that I went in, the second time, and the end of September of 2022 through October of 2022 is when I got very, very, very ill and almost died. That time, I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis again. I was throwing up blood and all that good stuff, and I ended up, my gallbladder was distended. They had done a bunch of MRIs and CAT scans and things like that, and they said that my gallbladder was distended. I had pancreatitis. I had varices that were bleeding. I think there were esophageal varices, that the ones that were bleeding. Multiple blood transfusions. I had gone septic and everything in the hospital. Well, while hospitalized, I started to really accumulate a lot of fluid in my belly. I think that was due to the fact that they were pumping me so much with the IV fluids. I know that really helps with the pancreatitis when they're giving you the fluid. You're not allowed to drink anything when you end up in the hospital with pancreatitis for like a week. They don't want you eating or drinking anything at all, so all of your fluids that you're getting are through IV. And they were giving me what's called a bolus, and that's I guess like a whole bag of fluid. And I think it's got saline and stuff like that in it as well. But anyway, when I was in the hospital in Columbia, South Carolina, that second time, I started to really accumulate a bunch of fluid around my stomach area. The doctor came in, and he said that they wanted to go ahead and put a needle in there. I think it's called paracentesis or something like that, maybe. Anyway, they went in there and drained a few liters of fluid out of my stomach. And they did that actually a couple times while I was in the hospital. The fluid that comes out almost looks like urine. It's like a straw-colored fluid that comes out. I know that the fluid that I had in my stomach was infected, and it might have made the fluid that color. I'm not particularly sure about that. But anyway, so I got the ascites after the first bout of pancreatitis, and then that went away. And then after I went to the hospital in Columbia the second time, like I said, I ended up with ascites again. They drained the fluid off, and then they started me on diuretics when I was in the hospital, and then referred me to some specialists. And after going and seeing them, they put me on diuretics as well to take it home. So I was on something called spirolactolone, and I was on another, that's a diuretic, and then there's another one called furosemide, I think is how you pronounce that, and that is I think a statin or something like that. But anyway, I was on both of those medications. I was taking the spirolactolone twice a day and the furosemide once a day. So when that happens, they're trying to get all that fluid off of you, and when you're on those medications, you are going to urinate a lot. And then when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. I was probably going to the bathroom roughly somewhere around 50 times a day, and I'm not kidding, if not more. I was constantly in the bathroom, and it made it really difficult because I was already having a hard time just getting around to begin with. So if you are in the position right now where you're dealing with this, if you've been in the hospital, if you're in the hospital right now, when they give you those little urinals that you have in the hospital, take that home with you. I would really highly suggest grabbing one of those and taking it home. They're just going to throw it away anyway. Throw it in your bag and take it home with you, and if not, grab another one. Those really help to be able to go to the bathroom while you're in the bed. They helped me out a lot, and I actually had like 2 of them, so I would use one, set it aside. My wife would help me empty them out throughout the day when she was home. When she wasn't home, I kind of had to deal with it myself. But those really do help out a lot. The thing with the ascites is when you start to get it, you'll know. My stomach started to really fill up with fluid, and it wasn't like soft to the touch. It was pretty hard. So I would like tap on my stomach sometimes, and the doctor would do this as well when I would go to the doctor's office. he would take his fingers and tap on my stomach, and you could hear it. It was like a hollow, almost like a drum when they would tap on there, and they would tap all over my stomach. It was completely hard. I mean, like this table that I'm tapping on right now. I mean, it was that solid, because there was so much fluid in there. And like I said previously as well, I developed a hernia. I had an opening in the stomach wall and the muscles, and my intestines were actually starting to come out of my stomach there. And right here in my stomach, I had an area that was like poking out, and it would it would look like this when I was walking around, because my belly would actually literally be this big, and I had this big thing poking out of my stomach just like that. It was really, really, really hard to deal with. We're all human beings, and at the end of the day, we have vanity about us, and we don't want to look like that, especially when we're out walking around in public. And I had to go to the doctor all the time and things of that nature. And anytime I had to go to the doctor or go out in public, I would try to wear really baggy clothes. And even with wearing the large baggy clothes, you could still see it. It didn't matter if I wore a really thick jacket or not. I mean, that's how far it was poking out of my stomach. So after that stint in the hospital in September, early October, like I said, I got really, really, really bad ascites. I think I weighed somewhere around about 120 pounds. And with the fluid on my stomach, I had gotten all the way up to 185 pounds. So I had 65 pounds of fluid. And it wasn't all just in my stomach. I had fluid around my thighs and my legs and my calves down below. There was fluid. If I had socks on, I think that's called edema. But like if I pulled my socks all the way up, when I would go to take them off, there would be like a ring around my leg, and you could see where the skin had started to come like protrude around where the sock was located at. It really looked bad, and it was very, like I said, very uncomfortable. It didn't happen overnight. It came on really slow. Like I was taking a lot of baths at the time, and I would highly suggest, if you're dealing with any of this stuff, the ascites is going to cause you a lot of issues in your back, because you've got all that extra weight that you're carrying in your front, and your back's not used to having that much weight on it, so it's going to start to pull you forward. It's really going to make your back start to hurt, and along with the pancreatitis, if you're dealing with any of that really causes a lot of back pain as well. So what I ended up doing all the time was taking really hot baths, and those soaking in hot water with Epsom salt really helped alleviate some of the symptoms. So if you're dealing with any of that, get yourself a nice hot bath with some Epsom salt and soak in that, and that really helped out a heck of a lot. It really did. The only repercussion I got from that was that my skin started to really dry out from being in the water so much, so I did have to apply lotion to my skin because it was starting to get kind of dry and starting to crack a little bit because I was taking so many baths. And I wouldn't wash every single time with soap and things like that. I mean, I just soaked in hot water, and I was sitting there as long as I could until the water started to get cold and I had to get out. The ascites that time lasted about 3 months. It went all the way through Christmas of last year into January, and finally in January the fluid started to go away. The reason being that I was able to get the fluid to finally start to come off was my GI doctor sent me to one of his dietitians or nutritionalists at the doctor's office, and I guess this guy deals with all of the patients and helps them work out a diet that's gonna work for them with whatever condition that they have. And that dietitian or nutritionalist or whatever he was, like I said, he was actually a PA. He explained to me, like I said, the mechanisms behind the water separation and all that stuff, and was telling me, that I needed to consume enough protein every day. He really stressed the protein fact with me, that I needed to consume as much protein as possible, which he knew was really hard for me, because I just was having the hardest time eating anything at all. On top of being already so bloated, and then you eat something on top of it, it just makes that bloating that much worse, and my stomach was always hurting, and I just felt nauseous all the time as well. But he really stressed the fact that I really, really needed to try to consume as much protein as I could, and fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, that I needed to make sure that I had enough fiber as well. Another thing that they told me was to keep my sodium intake at 1,000 milligrams a day or less, and he really stressed the less. It's really amazing once you get put on a sodium restricted diet, and you start taking a look at the labels and things like that, how much sodium is actually in the food that we eat, especially processed foods, sodas, all those kinds of things. I mean, even a soda by itself, I think has like 300 milligrams of sodium in it, and that's a lot. And if you're only limited to 1,000 milligrams a day, I mean, that goes really quick. You know, things that I used to enjoy back in the day, like eating like pickled foods and stuff like that, were just completely out of the question unless I made them myself with no salt in them. You know, just taking looks at all the labels, you know, I knew what foods to avoid. I would really, if I was you, if you're dealing with any of this, stay away from anything that's processed. It's just going to be full of sodium. The stuff they put in those foods is just not good for you in general. And you really need to, you know, be on as clean of a diet as you can, with your liver already being stressed out like it is. You don't want to put any more stress on your liver or your pancreas. So they told me to stick to 1,000 milligrams of sodium a day or less. They also told me that I need to make sure that I'm only consuming 2 liters of fluid a day. That was the max that I was supposed to consume. And that really goes pretty quick too. I was always thirsty, but I had to restrict the amount of fluids that I was consuming every single day, because the more fluid you put in, that's just more fluid that's going to get put into your stomach, and or you're going to have to pee it out, and you just don't want to have to deal with that. So, you know, you have to restrict the amount of fluid that you're bringing in. With all this said, if you're dealing with any of this stuff, if you think you have ascites, you definitely need to go see your doctor. Don't take what I'm saying as being a doctor or giving you any kind of medical advice. I'm just telling you what worked for me. So I probably should have thrown that at the beginning of the video, but once again, I'm just telling you what worked for me. Go see a doctor. If you're dealing with ascites and you've got some serious issues happening, and you really need to go talk to a doctor about it, so they can address it and find out what's actually going on with you. I stayed on the diuretics. I was taking that syrup as well, that helps eliminate the ammonia out of your system. That stuff is just not good at all. I can't remember the name of it. Lactulose is the name of the stuff. That stuff is really gross. And for any of you out there that are having to take that stuff right now, man, I feel sorry for you. That stuff is disgusting. And I still have to take it every once in a while. You know, when I have my blood work done, if my ammonia levels are high, then they tell me to start taking the lactulose again, and I have to do it for a period of time. That, as well as Xifaxan, which is a very, very powerful antibiotic. If you are prescribed the Xifaxan, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a heads up. That stuff is not cheap. I think it's like $1,000 per script, and I think that's after insurance. I know that the company that produces the Xifaxan will work with you. So if you are having some problems, you know, being able to afford the medication or whatever, if you reach out to that company directly, I know they will work with you and give you a better rate for that medication. I'm pretty sure they give it to people who have irritable bowel syndrome, and they take it for like a 2-week stint or something like that. But they do give it to patients who have suffered from liver disease, and the antibiotic helps get rid of the ammonia in your blood as well. Another thing that I did that really helped for me, like I said before, was just getting up and doing things. And I know that's really hard to do sometimes, but getting up and doing some walking, just getting up and doing as much as you can. I wouldn't say push yourself too far, but just getting up and moving around, doing little walks here and there, just doing little bits of exercise really helps get that fluid off of you. And if you're sticking to all the other things, like getting about, 60 to 100 grams of protein a day, you probably need to lean more towards the higher end if you're a male, and maybe towards the 60, so if you're a female. um, Getting that amount of protein every day, eating raw fruits and vegetables, keeping your sodium levels down, and taking the diuretics, and then on top of it, doing some moderate exercising and stuff. That really helped me get that fluid off. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not gonna happen overnight. And I know it's really discouraging, especially, you're embarrassed. You want to be able to go to the store and get whatever you need. And I know it can be hard to get up and walk around and do those types of things, but it really does help. And then on top of it, you want to go somewhere, and then you've got this huge belly that's poking out, and it's embarrassing. But I can promise you that nobody's paying any attention to you. Um, when I first got it, I thought everybody was staring at me and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, nobody really cares. You might get one or two people that might look at you and wonder. But at the end of the day, we're all living our own lives, and nobody really cares what's going on with you. And it's not like anybody's sitting there thinking to themselves, oh, look at that guy right there. That's gross or whatever. Everybody's caught up in their own life and what they have going on, and no one really is bothered by what you have going on. So don't let that get you discouraged to go out in public, because once again, nobody cares. Everybody's so caught up in their own life that nobody's going to pay any attention to you. And it really does you good to be able to get out there and do some things and walk around and go shopping for yourself. I mean, I would suggest going with somebody, especially if you're dealing with that right now. But get out there and just walk around a little bit, and because if you're isolated in your house all day long, that can get really depressing. I know from personal experience. I spent a lot of time in my house. I refused to go anywhere. Um, I didn't want to go out in public at all because I was embarrassed. And it wasn't until I finally just started kind of getting over that fact that things started to improve for me, and things got better, and I didn't feel as bad. Um, if you're dealing with the ascites, and you have been diagnosed with cirrhosis, liver disease, fatty liver, whatever, there is a procedure which I've had done, and I would definitely ask your doctor about having a TIPS procedure done. The TIPS procedure helped me humongously, and I had a failed test procedure back in January, and then, like I've said in previous videos, I went back in June, and they were able to do the test procedure, and it was successful this time. Still have a blockage in my splenic vein, but they're not that concerned about it at the moment because, they've been so focused on the other things that I have going on. But the TIS procedure did really help me a lot, and that basically redirects the blood flow from going all through your liver, and I think they direct it to go back to your heart, so you're not getting that portal hypertension, the high blood pressure in your organs, and it's redirecting that blood, and it helps those varices shrink. I know from the last time I went and had an MRI done, which was about 2 months ago, I spoke with my interventional radiologist, and which is a new doctor because my other doctor's gone from that hospital now, but he said that my varices have shrunk some, but they're still rather large and still really, really dangerous, especially since the fact that I'm on blood thinners now. So that could potentially really cause me some problems later on down the road, but hopefully those will go away soon. So with all that said, talking with your doctor about taking diuretics and taking the furosemide, those did help. I think one of the biggest things that really helped was cutting my sodium down to 1,000 milligrams or less a day. Ever since I've done that, my palate has completely changed. trust me, I know it's not that fun at first, but you'll actually find that after you start to cut your salt out, that you don't even want it anymore. And I don't even like eating salty foods at all anymore. Like, I actually despise eating salty stuff. I don't add any salt to my food at all. Um, I've tried eating, like food at restaurants and stuff, and it's way too much for me. I can't do it. My wife asks me all the time, "Do you want me to grab this or that?" And I'm just, no, I'm okay. It's just too much salt. I mean, it's like a salt overload anytime that I try to eat anything else other than what I prepare myself. The protein shakes have been a huge help for me. I can't get behind anything more than the protein shakes. I was having the hardest time eating food. When I was eating food, it made me feel extremely bloated. I started drinking, and I'm lactose intolerant as well. The muscle milks, they don't have any lactose in them, I don't think, and if they do, it's very minimal. They do use milk protein, but there's no milk in the. I know that sounds funny, but I'm very lactose intolerant, and the muscle milks did not bother me one bit. And I was able to actually get down the muscle milks twice a day. They do have like 5 grams of fiber in each one of those as well. So I was getting, a little bit of fiber. I'm getting the protein. There's some vitamins in there as well, and it was really just helping me get some nutrients that I was really lacking. I was diagnosed with malnutrition through all this, and I was very sick. I was very skinny. I had gotten all the way down to about 120 pounds at one point. I was just skin and bones. All my muscle mass had completely gone away. My chest was just skin and bones. I mean, that's all it was. You could see every single bone in my face, all the veins in my neck. I mean, every vein in my hand, everywhere, you could see it. I had gotten so thin. Once again, doing some walking, that really helps out a lot. Getting up and just doing small chores around the house, maybe doing the dishes, maybe preparing a meal. Just getting up and moving around really helped me improve my ascites. Once again, taking the hot baths for the being uncomfortable, the back pain, and all that stuff. I know this is going to sound funny, but it actually did help a little bit. As I started I felt so bloated all the time that one day I asked my wife if she would give me some gas medicine because I thought that I had gas. And she got me the chewable little gas tablets, like the anti-gas tablets. Those really actually did help me out and help me feel a little bit less bloated. So you could try those out as well. And last but not least, if you're dealing with the ascites, do not eat anything that upsets your stomach at all. If there's something out there that you know is going to give you an upset stomach, be it spicy foods or some kind of like let's say you just don't like red bell peppers don't agree with you, don't play around with them at all, because you're already so uncomfortable from the ascites. You already feel so bloated. Stay away from those types of foods. They are going to exacerbate your situation tenfold. Just stay away from them. I know it's not fun eating a bland diet and all that, but I promise you, you will get used to it eventually. And like I said, my palate has completely changed. I prefer eating fresh fruits and vegetables now, yogurts, protein shakes. I just prefer the healthy foods. I would eat. I never in my life have I ever had unsalted nuts before. I started buying unsalted nuts and only eating very small amounts of them, but I'm actually used to it now. I prefer the flavor of the nut without the salt on it now. And I don't eat lots of nuts because I have to watch the amount of fat that I consume every day. But I still do eat small amounts on a pretty regular basis. And you'd really be surprised if you look at the sodium content that's in those salted nuts. It's outrageous. Things like pickles, stuff like that, you would not even believe the amount of salt in there if you've never looked at it. It's one pickle could just throw you off for the whole entire day. So anyway, with that said, this video is already about half an hour long as it is. Somebody in the comments asked me to talk a bit about ascites today, and I figure I'd talk about it, tell you what I've been through with ascites, and give you some tips that I have used that help me. I've had ascites now multiple times. Each time that I've gotten it, it's gotten a little bit easier each time that I've got the knowledge now to help get rid of it. And each time that I've gotten ascites, I've gotten it off. I know it's so discouraging when you get it. After I had my TIPS procedure back in January, I had completely gotten rid of all the fluid on my stomach almost. Had the TIPS procedure, my liver got irritated during that procedure, and the fluid came right back. I remember this like it was yesterday. I had an appointment with my GI. He wanted to do a follow-up after my TIPS procedure. I had just gotten home from the hospital. It's like 2 days later. I had to go to see my GI. And I'll never forget, I had taken a hot bath. I had to have somebody drive me over there because I just couldn't drive at the point. And I had gotten in the bathtub, and across from the bath in my bathroom is a big mirror. And I'll never forget standing up in front of that mirror, and I saw the bloating in my stomach, and I was already so skinny at that time, and getting all that fluid on my stomach. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional about this because it was really hard for me to go through looking in the mirror and seeing that had come back. I was just really upset about it because I had worked so hard to get it off, and then it had come back again, and I was able to get that fluid back off of my stomach again later on. But if you're going through it right now, I really feel you. I know how frustrating it can be. I know how uncomfortable it can be, and I'm really sorry if you're going through that right now, but I promise you it can get better. You just got to hang in there and have hope. That's it for today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. I hope this video has helped you some. And if you're dealing with this, hey, I'm really sorry. And let me know in the comments if you are, and I'll definitely pray for you. I really will. So if you are dealing with this, please let me know. And I will say a prayer for you, and hopefully you will get better soon. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump off of this. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. I hope you like that funny video that I did earlier. I know I'm not a comedian or anything, but I just thought I would share that. So anyway, with that said, God bless you guys. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.